Hey, y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
What is today?
Today is Thursday, and we're going to South Carolina. But before we do that,
this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. And you know what? Sometimes November, December, January, February, they suck. Actually, if you have a birthday during these months, they shouldn't count because these months suck. The weather sucks. It's dark. You eat a bunch of food, and then that makes you feel even worse. And so instead of just eating more food or drinking your sorrows, you might want to talk about them. And if you want to go talk about them, you should think about therapy because it's a great way to bring yourself some comfort that may last a little bit longer than queso on the couch at night.
Yeah, and with it getting dark early, and you maybe are not very excited about the holidays. You got to see family. Maybe you don't like your family. Maybe you just are forced into it, or maybe you don't have family to go see, and that's difficult, right? So the best thing to do is to try some therapy. Get somebody to talk to that will not judge you, and give BetterHelp a try. So it's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. You just fill out a brief questionnaire, get matched to a licensed therapist. You can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. And that's all you need to know.
All you have to do is find comfort this December by going to betterhelp.com/bloody. And if you do that, especially if you do that today, you're going to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/bloody. Back to the episode.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. So, April?
Yes.
You are going to love this story because you probably know about it. So, have you ever heard of Todd Kohlhepp?
Yes.
Well,
and
let
we
me
haven't
tell
done a serial
you,
killer in a while.
This is
I'm
serial
excited.
killer, and he is disgusting. Because he has literally eaten himself 15 times. And he, on the body cam footage, his belly was hanging out of his shirt because the shirt was too small. But back in the day, he used to be good looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that happens to us sometimes. But
Let's talk about Todd.
Good news is Ozempic.
When that CEO got shot, the comments were, somebody
denied their Ozempic or their semaglutide or their whatever. Did you know how many people are on Ozempic? And guess what? I'm sorry, but y'all, it's going to be bad effects later in life.
Everything is.
That's true. If you get close to a microwave, you have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
If you drink too much, you got liver dysfunction. Yeah. If you smoke weed, what happens if you smoke weed?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's cool. So, wait, can you tell everybody what you're drinking?
Oh, I got me a Topo Chico hard seltzer strawberry guava.
Ooh,
and it's one of these big, like, is this not a 32 ounce?
It's probably like that.
It's a 24 ounce, but I don't have my paper bag today.
That's upsetting.
I know.
So if you're not drinking or if you don't have a beverage, this is a perfect time to grab one because then you can have a beverage with us. I'm having Crown Royal Blackberry.
You ruined it. But I still want some.
Oh. Yes. You can sip on mine too. Look.
Oh yeah, give me some of that.
I mean, don't worry, the gum is right there. But
did you mix it with anything? Is it straight?
No, it's just ice. It's on ice. It does not need to be mixed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get Crown Royal Blackberry,
it's not bad.
Then
I taste the blackberry.
You just gotta take little sips of it. It's pretty sweet, but it's not too sweet, and it's got a nice little flavor. So, how about it? So, Todd Kohlhepp is a serial killer who murdered 7 people that we know of between 2003 and 2016. He also had this really strange and creepy habit of leaving reviews on Amazon. So he's also known as the Amazon review killer.
Never knew that.
I didn't either until this. And I didn't even know that when I listened to it like years and years ago. Yes. So there's actually there's like 48 hours episode. There's like tons and tons of podcasts on it. There's a show on Amazon called the Amazon Review Killer or whatever, like, or Prime or on whatever.
Yeah, never knew that.
Okay. And so he would leave reviews on the items that he would use to carry out his work.
Oh, okay.
So Kayla Brown and her boyfriend, Charlie David Carver, were last seen by friends and family on August 31st, 2016. They were seen by surveillance cameras leaving work that day and had plans to go to dinner with friends that evening, but they never made it. So when their house was searched, everything was exactly where they left it. Their dog, who Kayla loved very much, had been left inside without any food or water. It just was like they vanished. Okay. So police had a few leads that they were never able to form a theory of what happened to them or link to any suspects. So it kind of just was like a mystery. What's going on? A couple of months or a month goes by, October 2nd, and then somebody started posting on Facebook from Charlie's account. So it's Kayla and Charlie who went missing.
Boyfriend
so somebody's now somebody's posting from boyfriend Charlie's account on Facebook saying that they were fine, and they just, the post didn't sound like him at all. They always say that, right? Okay. Then a month later, after tracking, the police finally, so it's been 2 months now.
Okay.
So a month after he starts making all these weird Facebook posts, they track the phones. They locate their phones. I don't know why they didn't think. I don't know. And then they track their last known cell phone signals. Police get to this property. This is a property of Todd Kohlhepp in rural South Carolina. The deputy who arrived starts hearing somebody screaming from this container. So whenever I hear container, when I first was like, what do you mean a container? But it's like, is it like the thing that
big
goes
metal
on the back of a big truck?
Or like a train, like those train containers.
A train, yeah. So a train,
yes.
I don't know why. Anyways, his neighbors thought it was really weird that he had this container randomly. And just,
always a red flag.
And so the officers started hearing this banging and yelling on this container, and they were like, kept getting louder and louder. They kept getting closer, and they finally go in and they like saw, or whatever the thing is that makes all the sparks.
Yeah.
And they get the little padlock off and they go in. They find this girl, Kayla Brown, screaming. They open the padlock. They find her in there. She has a chain around her neck. She'd been there for 2 months and there was no sign of Charlie.
Wait, how did they get out there? How did they get to Todd's house? I forgot.
They tracked their cell phones.
Oh, that's right.
And I don't know why their cell phones were there. I don't know what he just...
Oh, because he had them on texting, responding to people, so they thought that he were alive. They were just
I'll go into more detail about why they were even there in a little bit. But yeah, she had a chain around her, like a collar around her neck, and she had said she'd been there for 2 months. Officers start cutting off the chains, and they're like, hey, like, where's your buddy, Charlie? Like, where's your buddy? Like, you know, whatever. And she's like, she told the police, Todd Kohlhepp shot Charlie Carver 3 times in the chest, wrapped him in a blue tarp, put him in a bucket of the tractor, locked me down here, and I've never seen him again. He says he's dead and buried. He says there's several bodies buried here, and the dogs will be ruined if they go looking for him because there's red pepper.
That stops the smell?
No. Red pepper, apparently, if my dog is in the yard digging, they're like, oh, just sprinkle like red pepper on the ground, and that way, if they like, it'll either mess up their smelling or it'll make them stop digging or something, or it'll like fog their scent. I don't know. It didn't work for me, but I don't think I had enough red pepper. But That's the only reason I wouldn't even have known about it. I was like, Jack, stop digging holes.
Okay.
So I will pick back up on that later, but that is the crux of this case. Okay. Let's talk about his early life. Todd I want to call him Heiferkamp, and I can't not. I don't know why that I
Kohlhepp.
Kohlhepp.
But you could call him Heiferkamp.
It's fine, Heiferkamp.
I know some Heiferkamps.
Okay, good. So he was born in 1971 in Florida, raised in South Carolina and Georgia. His parents were divorced when he was 2 years old. He did not have a good relationship with his stepfather because the mom got remarried. He did not have a good relationship with the stepfather. He often just wait for the red flags. You've already had like 4.
I thought he. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, what'd you think?
I was just thinking he didn't fall into the serial killer stereotype. I don't know much about him, but
oh yeah. Well, I didn't know either until I looked into it.
Well, I'm excited.
So, he did not have a good relationship with his stepdad. He really wanted to go live with his bio dad, and then at the age of 9, he started to go to counseling and they described him as being explosive and preoccupied with sexual content.
Damn, at 9?
At 9. He was known to be aggressive and often cruel to animals. We know what that means. We know what that means. It's true. Cats don't count. He was known to be aggressive and often cruel with animals. His mom didn't really ever get angry with him. I think she was a little scared of him because he was so much bigger than her. He was taller.
He was a big lineman.
Yes.
Right tackle.
And so she really didn't think that she could do anything to help because she was basically intimidated by him. There's an interview of her talking about him. I don't know what this means, but she was like, he would always throw sand. I'm like,
what?
I don't know what's and he would push people down, and he there was a girl on the bus that made him mad, so he had a pair of scissors and he stabbed her in the leg.
Oh, totally normal.
Totally normal, but it wasn't that deep, so it's fine. And he wanted a gerbil, so he killed his goldfish so he could get the gerbil. And the mom's like, well, why did you kill the gerbil? And he's like, I didn't want it anymore. I mean, why did you kill the goldfish? She's like, I didn't want it anymore.
I want a gerbil now.
I mean, the goldfish is going to die anyway, so I don't know why you had to try to just flush it. So to me, that's not even a thing. But after, another thing he did was he took a claw hammer to all of his furniture and destroyed all of his furniture. I don't know why you're.
That's some anger issues.
That's anger issues.
Didn't you say intermittent explosive?
Yes.
There's explosive.
Yes. He tore up all the furniture and he did threaten to kill his mom. So his mom was in such fear because he was bigger, taller, stronger, that she started to not only lock herself in her bedroom, she locked him in his bedroom. And that lived in fear, basically. But then in 1980, when was this? Oh, okay. He was born in 71. So if he's like younger. So 1983, Todd went to live with his bio dad in Arizona.
Okay, finally.
His first reported violent act was in 1986.
Oh, he lasted 3 years?
He lasted 3 years.
Okay.
At the age of 15, when he lured a 14-year-old girl who he had a crush on out of her house. She was babysitting her siblings. He got her out of the house and he forced her into his house at gunpoint. So he had a gun. Somehow got a gun, stole his gun from daddy. He not only did he just like, hey, come to my house. No, he bound and gagged and raped her.
Todd is 13?
At 15.
Oh, 15?
You 15. And you're bounding and because he's obviously had exposure.
He was BTK before.
Yes.
Yeah, so mom, don't bullshit. You just don't think this shit up if you don't see it, hear it, or something. Did she give him some porn?
Somebody gave him porn. You don't give porn to yourself.
You don't.
You got to see it somewhere.
Start binding and torturing and raping. You don't.
You don't.
You just don't.
You have to see it.
Somebody has to show it to you.
And it has to be shown to you. I did not know what that even was until like 2 years ago.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. I'm perfect. So, threatened to kill them. Yep. Yeah. 15. 14-year-old girl. Yep. Forced into a bound gag, sexually assaulted her afterwards. He then walked her home. What a gentleman. But threatened to kill her younger siblings if she told anyone about what happened.
Let me go wrap this up for you.
Well, apparently she told, because then Todd Hefferkamp was charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, on committing a dangerous crime against children.
It was a dangerous crime. And he went to juvenile.
And apparently he had a crush on her and he wanted her to be his girlfriend. So he went there in order to make her be his girlfriend, but you don't do that with the gun. That's not how you make him your girlfriend.
There was literally just a Law and Order about this.
They were doing it over Todd Hefferkamp. Yeah. So he got, in 1987, he pled guilty to the kidnapping charge and other charges were dropped and he was sentenced to 15 years for this. People murder get less than that.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but he served 14 years because in 1987, he pled guilty and then while he was in prison, he graduated from Central College, Arizona with a bachelor's degree in computer science. He was released in 2001, so he served his time.
He probably went to juvenile, and then when he turned 18, went to big boy prison, finished it out. Wow.
Yeah.
So
he's already
he was either looking at some magazines and watching porn, and if he liked her, wanted to make his girlfriend, that's all he knew about dating and sex, so that's what he did.
That's what he did.
Or that's what these kids did on this Law and Order.
That's what they did. That's what they all did.
They were about to lose their virginity, but they thought you had to like bend them over and do them in the ass and like choke them and do all this stuff because they were watching porn.
Oh, see, they
thought
doing
that's what
to the
women
next
wanted.
level. No, they're doing the most.
That's all they saw, though.
Well, they don't. No, it's not how it. It's not how it
It's
works.
not how it is.
I gotta reconnect.
Nobody actually wants that.
Oh, I'm connected. Okay, so then he gets out. In 2001, he moves back to South Carolina to be with his mother. Poor mom. She's probably like, get the out of my house. He was already a danger to society, but this is when things got worse. Mm-hmm.
Oh, worse?
In November 2003.
Wait. He got out. Sometimes I daydream. And then what?
I daydream a lot.
And then what?
So 2001 is when he got out.
Okay.
He went to live with his mom, and he was released in 2001, went to South Carolina.
Live with his mom.
And then a couple years go by and things get even worse. So now it's 2003.
Okay.
03 when I graduated. So he visited a motorcycle shop in Chesney, South Carolina to buy a bike.
Yes.
But he was a little overweight. So he apparently, and he was not very skilled, or he did not have good balancing skills. So he was not very good at riding the bike. Apparently he struggled to ride it properly. And so he tried to get a refund from the bike because he was like, I can't ride it right. It doesn't work right. And they laughed at him.
Oh, so he shot him.
Yep.
All of them.
All 4 of them.
Yes.
So he pulled a handgun and shot and killed 4 employees. And this actually remained an unsolved case until his confession, which I'll tell you more about later.
Yes. Okay.
So Todd then got a real estate license in 2006. So this is 3 years after that motorcycle shooting. Okay.
Yes.
He gets his real estate license. He lies on his application about his felony, about his criminal history, which is a felony charge. So he lies about having a felony. Gets his real estate license.
Sure.
He builds this company.
He
has about a dozen employees working under him. He has a public persona of being like a good businessman who runs this real estate agent company called TK Real Estate or TKA Real Estate.
I just want a couple of properties.
It's fine. He was described as a hard worker and a good boss by his employees, even despite jokingly threatening not to feed his employees if they didn't work hard enough. I mean, it's a joke. But he didn't always represent himself as squeaky clean, allegedly, whatever. One business partner said that he worked with Todd and said he was kind of a strange guy. And he talked about always knowing where people lived. I guess maybe too much. And he also talked about he would watch porn at work.
Hey.
And he would tell them about it.
Listen.
He was open about it. He
Okay.
also let them know that he was a registered sex offender.
Oh, I guess he had to when he got out.
But of course, he didn't tell them the severity of the crime. Like he just was like, I don't know what he said, but that's just what I heard.
But they trust him because you've built this big real estate. You've got a business going on. You got a little empire.
You do. And, also, he was a big fan of Amazon. He really loved Amazon. Let me tell you about it. On his wish list on Amazon, his account, he had almost all the items that he used in his crimes on his wish list. Okay?
Let's go through
Between 2014 and 2016, Todd had left over 140 Amazon reviews for items including knives, guns, tactical gear, and his reviews were a little bizarre, a little off. So he thought the reviews that he left would be taken as a joke because, if I read it, I would kind of laugh, but that's because I'm a little morbid. But the unfortunate part is that he was basically telling the truth.
The truth.
So let me give you a couple examples. He left a review. There was a small folding. It's a very small shovel where I guess it's about this big, all right, and it folds. It's folding travel shovel. I don't know. So he leaves a review and he says, keep in car when you have to hide the bodies and you left the full-size shovel at home, ... Doesn't come with a midget, which could have been nice.
A midget?
Because it's a small shovel. So it's kind of funny, but I would think it was funny because I'm weird.
Yeah.
But then another review was left on a fixed blade knife. Okay. And he wrote, haven't stabbed anyone yet, ... yet, ... but I'm keeping the dream alive when I do. It'll be with a quality tool like this.
I had no idea he did this.
I didn't either. Another one was on a master padlock. So basically what he used to lock up this container. He said, solid locks, ... Have 5 on shipping container, ... Won't stop them, but will sure slow them down till they are too old to care.
Damn.
So bad.
All true.
I know.
Is this review under his name? Like, is it say Todd?
I get
it has to.
It has. Yeah.
I've never left an Amazon review.
Have you? I do read the reviews.
Yeah, I will, but I've never left one.
I might have left like one. I don't.
I'm a start
regularly.
Ooh, and I'm not going to leave crazy ones like that because I'm not trying to be arrested.
I think you should though. So on another note, he often went to Waffle House, and this comes into play because where he went there, his behavior, like he made the waitresses feel very uneasy and uncomfortable because he's a creep, obviously, to the point where the male cook began to come out and he was like, okay, no, waitresses, y'all do not go serve this guy. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to take his order because obviously y'all are getting some really creepy
bad vibes.
One of the waitresses was Megan Lee McCraw Coxey, which would be one of his victims.
It is or would be. You said
will be.
Will be. Okay.
And it was. And also her husband.
He got couples.
Her body and the body of her husband were later found on Todd's property when Kayla from who was in the container,
Kayla Brown,
whenever she was discovered, they then found out that those other people were there because Kayla spilled the tea, and I'll tell you, it's all going to come together. So you got to keep on listening.
Okay, so let me tell you how I found out about
because these two people had been missing for a year, and they were both shot to death. They've been missing for a year at this point. Okay, yeah.
I think I remember when Kayla Brown was missing. You know how like on Facebook when something happens, they'll make a Facebook page like the Savannah Soto page or whatever. I was on a Kayla Brown missing page.
I wonder if it was like Crime Junkie.
And it was
that was the first time I heard it. It was like years and years ago.
No, well, I didn't podcast then. No, I don't think so.
I know, but did
it was
you
just
listen
like
to
a
some?
page dedicated to. I remember seeing him on the news, like when he got arrested. But
I don't.
there was a lot of things that came out about Kayla, like on this page, that almost made it seem like it could have been like a willing. Are we going to go through that?
Well,
willing.
not really, but I can see where you're going because of it. It's just odd how fast she was to just like say like he did this and he did like just how much she seemed very calm and just like it was kind of odd.
And that her and her boyfriend engaged in weird sexual things like that, like sex slave.
In the interview that we're going to listen to later, he says, he's like, well, she wanted me to buy her the neck collar.
Yeah. But it was him really just
I don't know.
Trying to get away with
it could be either one. So now we're circling back to Charlie and Kayla. So like I said earlier, August 31st, 2016, Kayla Brown, 30 years old, boyfriend Charlie David Carver, 32, went missing after they went to remove brush from one of his properties. So that's why they were even at his property. So they went to his properties. He would
hire them to do
yes,
stuff.
so he hired them to work. That's why they were even there.
I was thinking he hired people, or he was like showing a house. Like my house is for rent.
Yeah, but so he had his house, and then he had this whole extra like out in this like woodsy area of just I guess he had the trailer or the container, and then maybe a separate like house,
and then a whole bunch of land.
Yeah, a whole bunch of land. Yeah.
Okay.
So interest in their disappearance increased due to all the different posts that Charlie was making on Facebook. And all this led to it was a bunch of speculation and blah, blah, who's taking over his account. And we talked about this earlier. But at this point, after 2 months, they were able to track their cell phones to the location of his 95-acre property.
Oh,
95 acres.
He built a damn empire. 95 acres plus a dozen rental properties
or agents. He had under him. He had a dozen agents. Under him.
Agents.
Like
but
workers.
Then he had a bunch of properties. I thought.
Yeah,
no?
I don't know how many, but he had a ton.
Okay.
On November 3rd, this is whenever they found Kayla. She was chained to the wall inside a metal storage container on the property. They tracked her down after tracing, like I said, her last known cell phone location. Heard her banging and noises coming from inside the container. When they arrived there, they searched the property and they recovered Charlie's vehicle, which was in a ravine, which was also covered in brush.
Oh, wow.
According to Kayla, she witnessed Charlie being shot by Todd. Charlie was later found dead of multiple gunshot wounds on the property. Todd's mom claimed Todd's mom claimed Charlie was killing for having Todd's mom said that Charlie was killing for having a really smart mouth. Charlie was killed for having a smart mouth. Okay, so I don't know where the mom came into this, but like I guess he didn't like that. He don't mouth off to me. That's why you're going to be killed, because he was mouthing off. He was he said too much. She was talking too much. You got to get rid of him. You got to cut your losses. I mean, I get it. But he kept Kayla captive because she didn't do anything wrong. And he didn't want to hurt her.
No, you just got rid of the bigger victim.
And after the rescue, Kayla told police that he had killed Charlie because Todd was mad at her. I don't know. During the captivity, Kayla was raped repeatedly and intimidated into not escaping after having been shown the graves of Todd's other victims.
She was a sex slave. This is Ariel Castro shit.
So 2 bodies were discovered on Todd's property following his arrest. So
only 2?
Well, on November 6th and 7th, they were later identified as husband and wife Johnny Joe Coxey and Megan Lee McGraw Coxey, 26, the people from the Waffle House. So they find Kayla. She spills the tea on all the things, and I'm going to tell you exactly what she said in a little bit, in like 2 seconds. And was like, he told me that there was other people here, and then they end up going and looking, and they find those 2 people, and they find Charlie. So that would be 3 bodies, but maybe they haven't found Charlie yet. Let's keep reading.
Okay.
Yep. They were allegedly hired by. Oh, so those people were also hired by him to come work on his property. And then he killed them.
That's how he gets them out there.
Yeah. Yep. Both were killed by gunshot wound to the head. And then they identified them by their extensive tattoos.
But I wonder if the other girl was held as a sex slave.
Oh. Well, apparently she probably didn't do what she was told to do, so that's why she was killed. So when Kayla's rescued, this is what she says. And I'm quoting all the things that she said. So she's rescued. This is when Todd is immediately arrested, and this is what she tells paramedics on the way to the hospital. That the first 2 weeks she was there in the building, her ankles were cuffed, her hands were cuffed behind her back, and she had a chain around her neck. She said she couldn't really move for the first week or so that she was there. They asked her what Todd did to her while she was there. She said he would go in there about between like 1 and 3 p.m. every day. He would take her up to the main building, feed her, make her do whatever he wanted sexually, and then would put her back in the container. She said then he would always come back between 5 and 7 p.m. And
how does she know?
I don't know if maybe she has a clock on the wall. I don't know. But then he would take her back to the building, feed her again. Most of the time she'd do whatever he wanted sexually again. And if she refused to do anything he wanted, if she said no, he didn't force himself upon her because he said he didn't believe in rape.
Rape. I think I remember that.
He didn't believe in rape.
This is why people questioned her.
But he made it very well known while she was there, and if she wasn't useful, then she wouldn't be that he wouldn't need to keep her any longer, and that he would shoot her. So he's basically like, if you don't do what I say, I'm not going to rape you, but if you don't do what I say, I'm going to shoot you. So is that making her, I don't know, consensual? She went on to say that Todd told her that he had killed 4 people out there, and that a few years back, he walked into a bike shop in Anderson and shot 4 people and left them, and they were never found. They never found out who did it. She said he liked to brag about that he was a serial killer and a mass murderer. He was always going to kill more people because he had dreams of his body count being in the 3 digits, and that, and that right now he was still in the high 2 digits, and he told her if she was a good girl, he would teach her how to kill and she could be his partner. So sweet. Todd later on confessed to the 4 murders at the motorcycle, like of the motorcycle shop, and of the Waffle House murders. And then I'm going to tell you this is what I'm going to play for you now is he's in custody. He's with the police and he's getting questioned and they're talking to him about, they're just like, tell us what's going on, bro.
Got there. Not everybody was there. Went and sat on a few bikes, did my usual. Basically spent for time.
That's great.
And doing my best to make sure that the paying customers came out there.
Got it.
Collateral damage is not cool.
Collateral damage is not cool.
Kind of funny.
I feel like there was video of it.
Out to me that she found a killer with a conscience and a kidnapper with morals. What the hell that man? You remember that? Yeah. I just did. After she said, I still want time to when well, I know. Come, okay. I clear is done 30 seconds. You what now? I cleared that going on 30 seconds.
He's bragging.
You got looking proud. I'm sorry, but you guys looking proud. Have you killed anybody else in Spartanburg? Yes. Have you killed anybody else in South Carolina? No, sir. Have you killed anybody else? And this is why I ask you this. You got to know. Oh, there's a collar in there. That collar was Kayla's. That collar? Yeah, she had me order it. She asked you to order it? Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay, so what he said, in case you couldn't hear it, is he said when he went to the motorcycle shop, he was making sure that paying customers weren't there because he didn't want them to get in the way.
Collateral damage.
Because they would be collateral damage, and that's not cool. And then he started bragging about how he cleared the bill in 30 seconds. So basically he killed 4 people in 30 seconds. So he's basically like, hey, I'm one of y'all, bro. Like, I just like.
You would have been proud of me.
Yeah, you've been proud of me. And that's exactly what he said. You've been proud. You've been proud. And then he said that Kayla asked him to order the neck collar that she was wearing. And the police were like, wait, she asked you to order the neck collar? And they're like, yeah, she asked me to order the neck collar.
She's my co-conspirator. So there was video of the motorcycle thing, right?
Yes, because
okay,
I remember
that.
it might have been on 48 Hours or wherever I watched it first. I don't know where it was. It was so long ago that I heard about this case. But then a search on his property revealed that several weapons, 9mm pistols outfitted with suppressors, semi-automatic rifles, and tons of bullets. They were all found there. Since there was no record of a background check under his name for the purchase of the firearms, investigators believe that he likely acquired these guns and weapons illegally, which he did. And Dustin Lawson was indicted on 36 counts for applications and guns and selling all of his shit to a convicted felon.
The gun
random
owner?
guy who I just never heard of, but
yeah,
he was the one who sold them all the stuff. And so he got arrested. Poor guy. Well, don't be dumb. So it was also believed that Todd had several more victims that he never told police about. But he even admitted to it. Like, he kept wanting to have more and more victims. So like in May 2003, that's when I graduated. There was a triple homicide at Blue Ridge Savings Bank. The police believed Todd to be a person of interest. Well, then in later years, 2017, Todd wrote a letter to the Spartanburg Herald Journal, which was a local newspaper. And he wrote, it was like an 8-page letter.
Okay.
So this is just a brief paragraph.
Yeah.
He said, yes, there are more than 7. I tried to tell investigators, and I did tell FBI, but I was blown off. It's no addition problem. It's a multiplication problem. Leaves the state and leaves the country. Thank you, private pilot's license. At this point, I really don't see a reason to give numbers or locations.
Oh, he wants to be bigger than what he is.
I know. So he was an amateur pilot, so it's likely that he could have possibly had more victims over the states, but who knows? And on August 20th, 2018, Todd Hefferkamp told investigators that he buried 2 more bodies in like northern South Carolina. Well, northern South Carolina. I don't know. To up his body count to 9 at least. So he said the bodies were near Interstate 26. Investigators took him to look for the victims, and it took like a whole day, and they didn't find shit. So then they're like, okay, David, what's his name? What's the guy's name from Waco who tried to act like he killed all these people? Golly.
The only
real old
David
smoky guy. The really old smoky guy had a big thing on Netflix.
Koresh?
No. David is not even part of it. Okay.
You can't say David from Waco and expect people not to say Koresh.
It was the guy from Waco. Like he was tried here. He was a really old guy, and it was a huge story. And he made up all this shit about killing all these people, like 100 people, 90 people.
Oh yes,
yeah. Good luck.
Not Ed Graff, but the Confession Killer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know his name.
It's 3 names. Go ahead, look it up. So after nothing was found, it appeared that Todd was just toying with the police, just like We're gonna get there. Todd
No.
Hefferkamp.
Henry Lee Lucas.
Henry Lee Lucas! God.
Everybody's screaming at us in the car right now. as they're
I
driving.
know. I'm like, oh, and I'm always really good with like, okay, yes.
I could
Henry
remember
Lee
Otis
Lucas.
Toole, which was his screw buddy, but not Henry Lee.
So Todd was charged with 4 counts of murder in relation to the motorcycle shop shootings. On 1 count of kidnapping in relation to Kayla Brown's abduction. Later, he was charged with 3 additional counts of murder for the murders of Charlie and then Megan Lee Coxey and her husband, Joe Coxey, from the Waffle House. And he managed to escape the death penalty by coming with a plea deal agreement.
Okay.
Prosecutors insisted, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But like, bro, he was sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences without parole, LWOP, with an additional 30 years for sexual assault charge and another 30 years for kidnapping.
Gosh.
I would rather you just put me to death. At his sentencing, his defense swore there were no other victims to be found, but Todd has since repeatedly admitted that there are at least a few more as of today.
He wants to be relevant.
He stayed silent on any additional details. And Todd Hefferkamp is the absolute worst person. Obviously. And you know, the thing is that if she was never banging on that container, nobody would like if they went out there, they tracked the phones. If she was like asleep at that time, it just so happened that she was banging on the container, and that's what they caught it.
They wouldn't have had a reason to search, really. Like you just can't enter into
a random container.
Yeah, you have to have a reason.
Yeah, well they did.
Hopefully, there would have been a good detective, but. Okay, I remember on the news when they were actually searching because they were thinking, because he was doing this. Yeah, it was a whole lot of people on the property. Like he just wanted to be bigger than what he was. He wasn't okay with his number.
No,
with what it was. What was it total for?
7.
Okay.
4 from the motorcycle shop. 2 from the Waffle House.
And then
Charlie. And then he had the homegirl in the container. But then he says that but he's like, I'm trying to get triple digits, but you ain't even double digits.
No, yeah. You're not even double digits.
Because you're lazy.
But they were like, there's 95 acres. So I just remember watching it and thinking, oh my gosh, how many bodies are they going to find? Is this going to be a big notorious?
Shit.
Nope. Done.
Nope. You done.
You
ain't shit, Todd Hefferkamp.
And then you lost your 95 acres and you're
Trash, and more trash.
But I do remember them doing a lot of victim blaming for Kayla because allegedly they had
a little like she was very excited to tell them all the things. It just was a little odd because you are like in shock and you don't talk.
Yeah.
I've never been in that situation. I've never been held captive for 2 months in a container chained up to something. So I don't know what it would be like. I just know based on other people who have been held captive in other environments on other shows that I've watched. It just seems like they're very timid. And
she wasn't acting like a victim.
She didn't seem like that.
So people thought that she wanted to be like a sex slave type thing and that her and her boyfriend were in that type of
But he had to go and kill the boyfriend. That was so rude.
Mm-hmm.
And he put him in the tractor scooper.
And dumped him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So,
good story.
There you go.
Good story. I've always had Todd Kohlhepp in the back of my mind.
I know.
So glad you did okay, there's a serial killer for you guys. We haven't done one in a while.
No. Mm-mm.
And
that's one you probably have never heard of. So
yeah.
You're welcome.
He's hidden. He would probably be excited that we're talking about him.
He probably will write us.
To be relevant.
He probably hey, Todd, if you're listening, go ahead and email bloodyhappyhour@gmail.com. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. We can be pen pals. Because I'm sure you're real bored. And let us know if you've started working out.
And yeah. And speaking of emails, we need to tell them.
Oh.
and this is what I am proposing. Tell me what you think. Remember when you did the Eileen story? Wait, Eileen.
Yeah, I did. Eileen, that's it.
What's her name? Eileen.
Yeah. Yeah, I did an Eileen
The
story.
Florida girl, the throuple.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
We did the throuple story.
And it was on 48 Hours, like right before that or after that.
Right. And Eileen ended up being killed. 2 people were on trial, the girl and the throuple, and then the boy and the throuple. The boy and the throuple, Zach, he got the most time. And the girl whose dad was a police chief got less time. Okay?
Oh.
So
yes,
then,
yes.
about
okay.
2 weeks ago, we get an email from the third roommate or the other roommate in the house.
The story that I did, we got an email from the roommate of Zach.
Yes.
And it is full of tea. And we need to tell you about it. And I totally forgot about it.
Yes.
Because we read it. And thank you for sending. And please, if you ever hear a story that you are connected to, do exactly what this listener did and send us an email with all the tea, because then we can figure it out. And I did not ever think he did anything. I always thought it was her. I thought she was shady. I just could see her face, and she was like pimply and pudgy and swollen, and I did not like her.
So what we're going to do is on Patreon, we're going to record a separate episode. So if you haven't listened to the Eileen story, go and listen to the Eileen story. And then we're going to next week read that email to you in detail.
On Patreon.
Yeah. But it goes into like her dad being crooked. Remember, her dad was a police chief being crooked.
It goes
people
into
being killed
everything.
who should have testified at the trial against her. So it sounds like she was the violent one. And Zach was like the pushover. But Zach's the one that's doing life.
Which is...
Or doing all the time. So there you go. Look forward to that. Patreon people.
It's episode 172, Who Killed Eileen Seaton?
Seaton.
172, episode 172.
So go refresh that.
Go listen to that. And then if you're on our Patreon, you can hear all the tea.
Yes. Okay. And that is it. We'll see y'all next week for a whole new week. Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Down to find the murderer. Bye, y'all.